Lawrence Fishburne, interestingly, you played the estranged wife of him in CSI, and now you're in this other situation.
Isn't acting amazing? Isn't it amazing? Yeah, so much fun.
I think we should listen to four-time Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles.
Simone Biles?
Mm-hmm. She came up to my work today and she told me to blow up my life.
No.
Yes, she did. So, what's your heart telling you to do?
I think we should blow this bitch up.
Boom! That's my girl! Yes!
I think we should sell this house and move to a black neighborhood.
Really?
Really. Can you imagine if Devante got to grow up around successful black men and women that were not in his family? We've done Sherman Oaks. Like, we did it, and it was good. It was great. But I just think it's time for us to do something new.
Let's do it. You have always had my back.
Always.
Mama was wrong. What?
After 20 years, you finally figure out what to say to turn me on, baby. Say it again.
Oh, Mama was wrong.
Oh, my God.
Welcome to the Actors Side today. Wow. Okay. 5 Emmy nominations, Golden Globe winner. I don't even know how many NAACP Image Awards you have at this time.
9 wins for lead actress.
Wow, amazing. And so much else. Tracee Ellis Ross here. Hi.
Hi. The NAACP thing is really fun to say.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've won for so many different kind of projects.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I've had a really interesting career because I've been on 2 long-running shows.
Yeah.
So 8 years on Girlfriends, 8 years on Blackish, which is kind of crazy.
That is not every actor gets a second series that's as successful.
No.
And
I remember Christina Applegate and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are the 2 that, and I feel like I've now joined their ranks.
You definitely have. I mean, it's amazing. Now, Girlfriends, you didn't, obviously Blackish has had its finale and got a proper finale, but you didn't get to do that on Girlfriends.
No, not even a ceremonial end.
Yeah.
It was just a, we were just gone. So our last episode that we shot was during the writer's strike.
Right.
And I actually directed it.
Ah.
It was my first time directing.
Wow.
It was not fun.
No.
Because it was really bizarre. It was surreal.
Yeah.
But then we just kind of faded away. We had 13 more episodes to do. We never did them.
Yeah.
We didn't have a wrap party. We didn't know we were ending. We didn't have, the last moment was not with all our writers and everybody. It was not sort of a ceremonial end.
Right.
So I have such deep appreciation for how Blackish has ended, and I leave with so much joy and pride, and I really have the opportunity to say from an educated place, this is a beautiful end.
Oh, that's
a beautiful
so good.
end,
Yeah, well, you know, and people get a chance to see it not only on the network, like most of these shows, but on Hulu, you know, and it lives on there, and people will keep discovering this show, and that's what's so great now.
It is actually really special, you know, and there's people now discovering Girlfriends for the first time because now it's streaming on Netflix. So it's kind of amazing. It is one of the beautiful things about what has happened in the landscape of television.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. My nephew, who's 12, when he was watching the Oscars, and he was like, I don't get it, Mom. What's the difference in a movie and a TV show? Because for him, it's all on a screen.
Oh,
like it's so, I mean, he's like, what's the difference?
Oh my.
Now we know the difference, and we know the difference in the production and, you know, all those different kinds of things in an hour length versus watching, you know.
Yeah.
But so there is something really special about how streaming has changed both how we create television and also how we watch television.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can have access to something long after it's done.
Which is great. It sort of takes the sting out of this, but I'm going to say not enough for me because I think Blackish is a very important show for network television and very important to have on there. and now it's not, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think we on Blackish, when we look back, might be one of the last primetime sitcom shows.
Yeah.
I think that era is kind of, I'm not saying that because I want it to be over.
Right.
I just feel like the audience's sort of relationship to that kind of television and television made that way is just very different. It's the same thing where an audience show, like, I don't know how many of those are left.
Yeah. Not
many.
Yeah. It's a totally different changing landscape. But at least, and this season, the final season, you got to do things, and you actually got a writing credit, a co-written story, which was a terrific episode about change.
Yeah.
And I love that whole idea of that. I think it was called The Almost Last Dance.
Yeah.
And what gave you the idea to do that? It was so perfectly pitched for that.
Well, I had pitched it at the beginning of the season, and it folded beautifully into the overall arc of sort of what we were walking towards as the end.
Right.
But I, Tracee, am going through perimenopause. And in this journey for myself, which I call a growth spurt, and having some interesting growing pains as I discover what it means. But it's like puberty, but for adults. It's like a whole different thing. Hormones going crazy. That there's just not a lot of information out there, and there's still a stigma around this time period and what it means, and people's relationship to it, and the actual name perimenopause, like, people really didn't even have a sense of what that was.
I had no idea. I had to ask my wife, what's perimenopause?
Exactly. So a lot of people don't know. And so I had pitched it. I thought it would be a really interesting and fun story to discover, similar, honestly, to how we handled postpartum.
Yeah.
That it was something that you got to discover between this couple and how they navigate it together. And it worked perfectly in this change because Dre is also going through his version of sort of what is this age, as your kids are leaving the house to a certain extent and they don't really need you in the same way. They can take an Uber. You don't have to be a driver everywhere.
Yeah.
Sort of what does this mean at this time period in your life, which led us to the question that leads us into the final episode. Which was really beautiful. And, I leave our show with so much joy and pride, and I feel like what we did in these 8 seasons really did change the landscape of modern primetime television.
No question.
Really changed how we understand what an American family is, and that a Black American family has a universal appeal for all of us that we can identify in so many different ways. The fact that we were a Black family that was thriving and not just surviving. There's so many things about our show that I felt excited about when I signed on originally, and only continued to blossom. And I look back and I have so much pride. And I think we get to close out. It's a really interesting thing to have an end like this, and to be able to talk about it, to be able to talk with both the people that we made the show with, but also others, and what the impact was for them, and sort of how we navigated these larger issues for a comedy. There's just so much. It's a really fun thing to be able to end this way.
Yeah, it always navigated very large issues, never shied away from anything. It was so great this season to start off with Michelle Obama as the guest star.
Not a bad way to go out. Yeah.
The Lakers, Daveed Diggs. You always had great
we had great
stars.
Guest stars, and but also we just had a great cast. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne, Jennifer Lewis, like what? Like just that in and of itself is just really special.
Lawrence Fishburne, interestingly, you played the estranged wife of him in CSI, and now you're in this other situation.
Isn't acting amazing? Isn't it amazing? Yeah, so much fun.
It's so great. You've done so many things. You mentioned Girlfriends, a lot of other shows that you've done. And I saw and reviewed for Deadline a wonderful movie that unfortunately came out right as the pandemic was shutting down theaters, called The High Note, which was your singing debut.
Yeah. We were the second movie to go streaming.
Yeah.
The second.
You were right there at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Yeah, in one sense, it was anticlimactic and sort of a bummer. But then I actually think so many more people got to see the movie in a way.
Yeah,
like
they
people
did,
that
no question.
unexpectedly wouldn't have gone to the theater but ended up watching it. And it was such a feel-good movie. It kind of came at a really nice time when, we've been dealing with, it's just been hit after hit of heavy stuff across the world and in this country. And so I think The High Note was like it was a little high note. It was like it offered a little something, and it was so, I had so much fun making that movie. I had so much fun making that movie. I loved walking towards my fear, and doing the singing was so exciting. And
it was all you.
It was all me. I sang all those notes myself.
I loved it.
Yeah,
you know,
it was really fun.
and look, you know, Diana Ross is your mother. That's no secret.
'Tis true. It's a secret to some people. Some people don't seem to know.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
It's fantastic.
But, you know, you're following there with that kind of thing, you know, oh, okay. And you did it.
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, it was something I've always wanted to do. I've always, I always thought I had a little bit of something of a voice. I don't know, but I was too scared to try it. And this just seemed like the perfect opportunity to walk through that fear, especially combining something I'm quite versed at, acting.
Right.
So I felt safe enough and comfortable enough. And the role was so good. I loved that it was exploring the story between two women that are on parallel paths of sort of breaking the barriers of what the world and men expect of them. Right. And continuing to sort of dream beyond where you're at, which I think anyone can identify with, and was a really, it was a fun story to walk through and play. And then I got to sing. And I have to tell you, and also like sing live on stage for real, even though they were, extras. They were people. They were still real human beings out there watching.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did your mother think of the performance?
She loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, if she didn't like it, she wouldn't have told me. It was also fun, like wigs and lashes and
I
like
know,
all.
the
It
whole
was
thing.
so much fun. It was so much fun.
The whole thing. I saw her, by the way, at the Hollywood Bowl before the pandemic. Just
she will be back in August.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, wow. 78, that lady is not stopping.
It's great.
Yeah.
Was that your inspiration to get into this business?
Into the business?
Yeah.
No, but that old adage of like apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Mm-hmm. It is a world I know, but not all my siblings have leaned into that. I don't know. I think I was born a bit of a big planet. I was always the very silly child kicked out of class for making everybody laugh, and loved making people laugh, and loved performing. I think I'm a performer at heart.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just kind of happened. I was trying to think, I was really shy growing up. Mm-hmm. And like I sang in my talent show in high school, and I was singing an a cappella song, and I started too high and my voice cracked.
Oh no.
And I just like started crying. And then like everyone was chanting Tracee, Tracee, Tracee. And then my best friend came on stage and hugged me. She's like, you can do it. And I tried again. So like being on stage was like not my thing until my mom says it happened when I started modeling, when I was late in high school, that I started to get comfortable in front of the camera.
Oh, wow.
And she said that it's so interesting. She told me that recently, and she said my personality started to come out, the one that was there at home that no one else would see.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then in college I started acting and I fell in love.
Yeah.
I remember the first acting class I took and I was like, oh, I'm sold.
That was it.
That was it. There was an exercise we had to do.
Yeah.
There was a sentence, there's a man on a roof and he's gonna jump. And we had to say it 3 different ways.
Wow.
And I was like, is this what acting is? I was like, this is incredible. I loved it. Yeah.
That's so great. Mm-hmm. That's so great. And you're producing too. And I look at the credits.
Oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just realized in my acting class, Ingenue Ellis, I went to Brown with.
Oh!
And she was like the best actress Brown.
I love Ingenue. She sat in that chair during Oscar season. I got a chance to interview her.
Oh my God.
She was so phenomenal, first of all.
She has always been an incredible actress.
Yeah, right? I know.
Okay. Sorry, I flashed back. I saw her face back then.
She has a level of insecurity I'd never run across with somebody on Oscar nomination day, which you read.
Yes.
You know, you presented.
And I actually said her name.
She refused to watch and turned off her phone and everything else until 11 o'clock that night.
Good for her.
People were going like, what happened? Where is she? You know, and I said, did anyone come and knock on your door and like worry what's going on with you? And she said, no.
Good for her. Good for her.
It was crazy.
I think, you know, I think we all have to take care of ourselves in those ways, because I know it all seems fun from the outside, but the stakes are high and it's so personal and for so many people, and the investment and what it means and people's comments and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So good for her for taking care of herself. But I didn't mean to cut you off. You were about to say something about
I was talking about producing, because when you watch Blackish, you know, the first few minutes, that all these credits roll by and it's executive producer and co-executive producer. You're produced by. That's a key credit. Produced by. Is that important for you to have that kind of say in shows that you want to do?
Yes, especially at this point in my career.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wasn't a producer from the beginning on Blackish, but my contribution has been the same since the beginning. And at some point they were like, I think this lady needs a credit. No.
Yeah.
I don't think it was quite that easy. But, you know, now I have a production deal with ABC Signature, and I have 3 projects that are in production right now and others in development. And
amazing.
The truth is that my personality and my interest really lends itself to producing. I love putting teams together. I love choosing stories that continue to expand our understanding of each other and how we understand ourselves.
Yeah.
I love the casting process. I love the ability to bring creatives together. Right. And so producing is something I really enjoy. And it uses a part of my brain that I really love, that I feel like I was educated for.
Well, you're an all-around mogul, because you have
the... I love the way that sounds.
I know, but you do. You have the hair products and all of that. I hear it's moving into the UK next.
Yes,
and everything.
So yeah, we are at Ulta, Sephora, Target, moving into other retail platforms in the near future, and then globally moving to the UK, which is very exciting. Yeah. And I'm also a DEI advisor for Ulta. That relationship has really blossomed into a very special one with them. They were my first retail partner, and the way that I communicated with them from the beginning kind of lent itself to the advisory role.
Yeah.
And I love the CEO and producing role is very similar.
Yeah.
It's very similar. It's sort of about organizing and bringing the right people together, and then top line decision making.
It's amazing. Well, you're multifaceted, to say the least. To say the least.
You got to keep the plate busy. You know, all of the plates got to be flying.
So cool. Can't wait to see what you do next. And thank you, Tracee Ellis Ross, for joining us here on The Actor's Side.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.